we are going to do this cutie. We'll show you a little bit one here. So this is what we are going to do. I'm calling this the test tube Boozy gift box, and I will show you how this came together. I actually designed this while we were at retreat, so some of you got to watch me go through what I go through when I'm trying to design a 3D. I always start out with what I want to put in it, and then I go from there. But yes, after I will take a picture, and here is the measurements that you're going to need. And if you're crafting along, hopefully you have your 2 pieces that we're going to be using. And then I will post this, except the piece of dog hair. I will post this after so you've got it, so you can see where to score, cut, all that good stuff. Now tonight we're not using a ton of products, but one of the things we are going to talk about out of the catalogs is this cute bundle set. And I love getting a bundle. Granted, this is pretty much holiday, Christmas giving, all that good stuff. So it's very, you don't have a lot of phrases that you can do, except there's hot cocoa day. There's a couple in here that you can do. But what I loved about this is the dies that came with it, because they are so ornate, and they're things that I couldn't do with a normal die. So this really attracted me to this, but I also love that they made stamps that fit into these very strategically, which we're going to focus on this one tonight. But super, super cute on how we can do those. So that is pretty much what we're going to do. The rest of it's going to be paper, a trip to the adult liquor store, right? And cocoa and marshmallows. So let me get to it. I got to grab 2 things. Hang tight. Wanted to bring the embossing machine over here for our die cutting, right? And there's a couple different pieces we're going to use. You love my Band-Aid. Miss Phoebe decided I needed to play the other day and got me really good. So I thought you could look at smiley faces, then my big Phoebe cut up the side. So, okay. So tonight, like I said, we're going to be making this box, and I will post this when I'm done. I'm going to put this off to the side, but we're going to start with, I'm going to use our Stampin' Trimmer because I can score and cut with both of these blades. So this is my preferred method. If you're not or haven't used this before, what I love about it is that it's big enough where I can store my cutting blade and my scoring blade, which I love. So tonight I've already got my pieces cut. So I'm going to push this one up here, and this is how I put my cutting one up there so I'm not playing with it, and I will be scoring down here. So I'm going to start with my small piece, and this is going to be the insert where we put those circle dies for our beverages. Now this one is going to measure, let's see here, 3 3/4 by 4 inches. So the scoring is actually going to happen on the short side. So we're going to do 1 inch on either side. So I'm going to do this since I have a 1 inch on that side, and now I'll be able to move this over and do 1 inch on this side. Okay. And this is going to go on the top. We're going to do the circle dies here in a minute, but that's how it's going to sit down in your box. And this is where we're going to put our circles. Okay. So that's your first piece. Now I'm going to take the big piece. And this one, let me get my kickstand out here. And this one, we're going to score on the two different sides. So I'm going to call one the 7-inch side, which is my 7.5 inch side. So this is 7.5 inches. And for this one, I gotta look at my notes here. We're going to do 1 3/4 here. Now, if you want to make this easy and only remember one measurement, all you have to do is turn this over to the other side and do 1 3/4 on this side. If you don't want to turn it, you're going to do 1 at 1 3/4 And then this one's going to be 5 3/4. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. Just let me know if that doesn't. And then now I'm going to turn it, and this is the 6 3/4 side. And now we are going to do this one at 2 1/2, like here. And same thing, if you want to turn it around this way, you can do 2 1/2 on the other side. Or if you're just going to slide it all the way through, that one is going to be 4 1/4. So you're going to do 2 1/2 and then move it over and do 4 1/4. Okay. So now you're going to see kind of like a strange tic-tac-toe, right? So you've got your 9 quadrants here. So I'm going to put this, I think we're done with this one actually. Put it away, save some real estate, and grab my paper snips. So now I'm going to bring the directions back out here so we can just put this here. We're only going to cut in on 2 of the slits on one side. So I'm holding my paper like this. So here's my 7 1/2. Here's my 6 3/4. I'm going to cut here and here, here and here, up to that score line. Okay. Let's see. I know it's hard. I was deciding what color paper to see if the score lines, and it's hard to do it on any of them so you can see. Hopefully you can see a faint line of where I'm doing that. And I like to cut in first and then start bending at my score lines. Okay. Like so. So it's kind of, you got your tags hanging out there. Okay. Now, one of the things that I like to do is take just a little bit, and it's not precise. It's just taking a sliver of paper off of these middle tabs. And I find that your box goes together a little bit easier with not so much paper folded up in it. So I'm literally, there's no rhyme or reason, just a little sliver. I'm going to turn it over on this side. Okay, move this one over. Like so. And now your paper should look like this. We'll take it a little bit slow because I know some of you wanted to craft along, which is just fine. I love it because these are actually super easy. I'm very proud of this box because I felt like the measurements were easy, Denise, right? They weren't weird measurements. Next week won't be as easy for the little box, but I tried to design this so the measurements were very standard. So now I'm just going to fold everywhere I see a score mark. Like so. Okay. So now I'm going to start connecting my box together. So for this one, I'm going to kind of do I like to hide that little middle piece right there in between these two. Does that make sense? So I'm going to go like this. So you can't, so when you're looking on the inside, it's nice and finished, but it's also nice and finished on the outside. So the first thing that I'm going to do, and I will use glue on this first one just so I can get it going, but then I'm going to switch to my heavier adhesive, whether it be double-sided tape, or I like to use the Snail Plus. And so what I'm going to do is take this one, and I want to go right up to the bottom edge, like so. And I already hang tight here. I want to make sure I have some glue, right? So I just have a nice finished edge on the bottom, like so. I'm just going to hold it. Oh, and I got a little crazy, but that's okay, because I can always go. It's easier to clean up the extra glue once it dries, and you can get your little magic eraser out and do it at that point. Okay, so now for this one though, because I want my box to be stout and make sure that it's going to carry everything, I'm going to use my Snail or double-sided tape, whichever you have. And I just want to make sure I get it nice up to those edges so everything is sealed really good. Like so. Oh, probably need to do it on the top. Okay. Ugh. Yeah, see, it's nice and strong. The only thing about using this instead of glue is you got to get it pretty even. Right off the get-go, there's not a lot of moving around when you're using that adhesive. Okay, so there's one side. Do the same thing over here. Except I see my tab is going the wrong way. So I'm going to do one on the inside. And actually, I'm going to tell you, this is probably me being anal. But I like to make sure that my edges are always going the same way. So I'm going to put this one here first, this, and close, meaning my edges are all going to be facing me. So if I want to do it this way, I've got nice, clean edges coming out. So this would be my front, if that makes sense. Okay. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue like I did before. And look at what I did. I just looked on the inside and saw I didn't even get that. See, I was talking and not assembling. But you know what? It's okay. No one's ever going to see what we did on the inside, right? And as long as the box is together and holding the goodies, that's all that matters, right? So this is the way you should have done it over there. Okay, let me get this. And I'm going to put snail on the outside. I guess I could have practiced talking and doing this at the retreat when you guys were, when I was designing it, so I could do it the same way. But that's what one thing I love about crafting is, you know, sometimes they can't see the boo-boos, right? So now I'm going to get this one over on this side. Okay, how we doing so far? Your box should look like so, right? Now, sometimes get a little crazy and they don't always line up, but that's easy to fix. That's where you grab your paper snips and I'll just cut it so that little tiny lip isn't sticking out, right? I can clip this one too. Just, you might not even, maybe you can see it on there, but yeah, I'm just cutting just a little bit off, just so it's nice and flush all the way around. Okay, so this is your box, and now this is the part we're gonna do the circles. But now you'll notice that when you start sticking it in here, sometimes we want it tight, but for a purpose. So one of the things I'm gonna tell you is I like to cut in these to, again, give me a little bit more real estate for when I'm putting that in. And if you cut the edges like so, it's going to let us get it in there a little bit easier. Like so. So it's just trimming so they're a little bit, see, I didn't cut much off, but it's enough that they go in here much easier. Like so. And that's why you want that box nice, as square as you can get it, so it holds together much easier, right? And don't push that down in there like I just did. We need to put circles in here first. So I'm going to put the box aside now, and I'm going to grab my big shot. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to show you how I decided what circles to use. So I got first, and that's where it's when you're designing something, you have to decide what's going in there, because it's like, okay, now how does this go together? So literally what I did is went to the liquor store and found the bottles that I knew that I wanted to use. And I came home and started putting them inside dies that would fit. And I then looked at the bottles I had to see if they were uniform. And I was surprised, yes. Even the bottle manufacturers make these pretty uniform. So I have this Brandy's Irish cream liqueur. And if you're looking for these and you're in the Fargo-Moorhead area, for some reason, the liquor... the liquor selection is better on the Minnesota side, and I understand that it's because of the distributors. So I went with peppermint because I got things that I would like. So peppermint and hot cocoa. Irish cream and hot cocoa. And of course, my absolute favorite is rum chata. And Seven Sisters in Detroit Lakes already has the holiday one out. Look at the bot. Isn't it cute? Not this. Let's take this off so you don't get distracted by that cuteness. But these are in Detroit Lakes already. And so I got lucky and had this circle die. And I'm not sure if somebody wants to look up, I can't remember what set I pulled this from, but the item number is 141705. If you want to look up which set that, and it might be retired because I keep all the circle ones, but this one worked really well. And then I found my test tubes on Amazon. And again, I bought those first, and then I go back and I filled this with hot cocoa. And then these dehydrated marshmallows are from Amazon. And so that's what I knew I wanted to put these in here with my adult beverage, right? So once I got these, and I liked these because they're glass. I just thought they made them, I like putting food things in glass better than plastic, just my preference. And I thought they looked a little bit more fancy. So I got lucky, and if you recognize this, this is the wagon set that is on the online exclusives right now still. And guess what? It has 2 circles, the exact size I need for my test tubes. See? So now I can do those all at the same time. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put those away so don't break them, is bring out my machine, and we're going to cut these all 3 at the same time. And I love that I found a die that I have 2 of, because now I can put them in here. Okay, hopefully, can you see what I'm going to do here? Actually, I'll move this way. Okay. And yes, being totally naughty, yes, this is not a Stamp It Up, but I cannot live without it. My magic mat, we don't have it, so I went looking for it, and I absolutely, as you see, it is definitely used. And I'm so excited because those of you that come to class, I switched those to it as well because I think it's awesome. And so now I'm just going to line these up so they're kind of sitting on here evenly. And you want to make sure that you've got enough on the edge so you're not cutting one of the edges. So I designed it that way too, so you'd have enough. I'm going to move this just a little bit. The magnet is being messy on the bottom. There. Okay, I'm happy with that. So I'm going to run this through like so. Are we loving it? I love if you're quiet. I hope that's you guys are crafting with me. Right? I'm going to put this down. And I'll take this and pull my dies off. When I was making these, that was a retreat, I was trying to get somebody to use all of the ones that you saw. I was making red ones. So I'm like, doesn't anyone need some red circles? Lots of red circles. But tonight there's a reason why I'm using this brown. You'll see when we go to decorate it. Oh, it sounds like Frank's gonna bring his bone in here for something to do. You gotta be quiet, Frankie. Okay. So now we've got our circles, and they're gonna come in here just like this. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do is not get my fingers stuck in there. And this one, I do use glue just so I can have a little bit of forgiveness when I'm pushing it in there. And it's not really holding anything. It's just kind of, it's holding all of the beverages standing up. So I'm gonna take this glue side first and kind of set it down in there. And it really doesn't matter how far down. It's, like I said, to hold those up. So I'm gonna just push the glue. We're gonna get one side done first. Okay. And then when that's stuck, all you're gonna do is bring this side up and kind of decide where, I like to just eyeball it and see what it's gonna look like when it's sitting even, right? Now I can kind of see, I'm gonna pull this up now, and I'm gonna put glue on this side. All right, now we're gonna tuck this down there very carefully so I don't get glue all over. And then kind of eyeball again. And this is where I wish I had smaller, really petite fingers. Because you're just going to stick this in there. And I will tell you that it's, you'll get the feeling of what it is to be level in there. You'd be surprised that it just kind of sits in there and it knows kind of where it needs to go. Right? And there is our cute box. How'd we do so far? Everyone get into those box, getting it assembled, right? So now this is my favorite part, is you get to decorate. And I'm going to show you some of the options that I've used on mine and where I got things. So first, I'm going to clean that up. When I'm mass producing these, like I am for the show, I will cut decorative pieces. And I'm going to say, I hope Carrie is watching. Yeah, Carrie, you were watching. We debated how big of strips to make these, because first I wanted to say 2 inches and Carrie's like, no, that looks too big. And I'm like, no, it should be. So we met halfway in the middle. And I feel like a 1 3/4 inch strip of paper is like the perfect size, because you still get to see the edges, but you can get to decorate. Okay, and this is what's going to go all the way around the box. But I want to show you some options that I found in this paper. So Miss Carrie, even if I hope you're watching still, right? So this is that beautiful vellum that is an online exclusive. And if you notice, I actually put it on the Golden Green Designer Series paper. So it was this piece. And sometimes the patterns get to be too much for me. This was one that just my taste the pattern was too busy. So what I did was cut a piece of that vellum, and I love putting it on white paper because I'll find that this vellum is really super easy to glue down. And as you can see, because it is so thick and I'm using it on white paper, I'm hoping you can't, I can't tell if this is one that I zip stripped down or glued. So I was pleasantly surprised with this, but it gives, so I can get that green, but I can still get some of that pretty paper in the background, but it tones some of the shine down. So I just get the shine on the edge, which I absolutely loved. Isn't that pretty? So that could be an option, right? We also have this adorable reindeer paper, like so. So if we want to get very festive, we could even embellish with one of our deer. This might be a little bit too much on the green. Who loves these? I hope to goodness you guys have gotten this. Nothing haunts me about embellishments or dyes that I didn't get and add to my collection, because these are going to be ones that you use year after year. You're going to just keep falling in love with. And this reindeer one is one that I think is going to be the test of time, right? But this one will be cute. This is why I use the brown paper. Isn't this pretty? The snowflake paper. But this one would be cute. I could put like a little peep of color behind that one. Or because it's hot cocoa, right? We can go to those embellishment packs that are in the holiday catalog right now. And you got lots of different options in here. So you could do something like that. This was another one too. If you really want to get nice and wintry festive, right? These were in there too. And we could do put some pop-ups and put that there, right? And this, who has seen these online exclusives? These skates crack me up. Isn't this cute? Especially with it being hot cocoa and an adult beverage. Isn't that adorable? This is a die set too. And if you did not check these out, look at, they actually have a die in there to cut your laces and the bottom of the skate. So you can make them any color. Oh, I loved this one too, but those would be cute. Just put on a little string and put those as an embellishment too. But there's lots of different ways that you can play this. You can do something very elegant with the gold. That's the green and gold paper. That's online exclusives, right? So here are all my different options that I can do. I think I'm going to go with, I want to go with the snowflakes because that's really what I wanted to use this paper for, because I'm going to do something cute for a decoration. So now, if you notice my edges here, so I'm calling this the front because I can see my edges on this side. So I like to start my paper on what I call the back. So if it doesn't get all the way around, let me see if this is going to make, I think this one does make it all the way around. It does. Okay. So when I'm doing this, I will use glue just so I can form it. Now, if you want to get super fancy, you can actually score these, you know, measure each side and score it so they fold really easy. I think it's because sometimes I don't have patience and I just want to play, but I don't score it. So I'm just going to do it as I go. So I'm going to get that kind of down the middle. And what I mean by scoring is because we need to have it kind of tight on those corners so we don't have puckering, right? And I still have enough glue there, so I'm just going to keep going around with my glue. Isn't this side cute with the little deer, right? But yeah, this one came together, and I feel like it's become kind of a ongoing joke about the craft show that I do. It's like, oh, what's she going to do with booze this year? And I'm like, for somebody, I don't drink a lot, but I certainly love to do the gifty things because I know people just, it cracks them up. It is when you're not sure what to give. You could a nice adult cup of cocoa sometimes does the trick. But it just cracks me up every year when I do these because it's like people are like, what's she going to do this year? What started all this was when I did the cocoa bombs, the cocoa bomb boxes. That I think scared Mom and I just a bit because they just went wild for them, and we had sold everything. We didn't have, I think correct me if I'm wrong, Mom, I think we were sold out in an hour and a half of everything I had at my table. I'm like, now what are we going to do? So to say that people like the adult beverages is an understatement. Okay. Now I see I didn't get enough glue in there. I'm just going to stick this here so it's not, I just want to make sure that it's not going to start puckering there. And like I said, try not to, when you get too much glue somewhere, let it dry. It's the hardest part, but to let it dry and then get your magic eraser out. And I'm not talking about the Mr. Clean one. Hopefully you've got one of these. And this is what will get rid of adhesive, right? Okay. Isn't that, I just think the snowflake paper is really pretty. But I'm going to be naughty. And you know, please do not get me in trouble to Stamp It Up, but I got to show you these. I found these online. And because Stamp It Up doesn't have gnomes, I had to go somewhere and find these gnomes. And they're adorable. Look at these little, just cuties. And this is why I wanted the brown snowflake paper. Look at, he doesn't even need words. So here's one that I did with Stamp It Up paper and a Stamp It Up greeting, but aren't they cute? They're just adorable. I can't stand it. You know, anyone that knows me very well knows I'm just kind of addicted to gnomes. So yes, I had to get those. But let me show you now a Stamp It Up version. So we follow the rules, right? I'm going to show you. Let me kind of move this stuff out of the way. So here are those cute dies that I was talking about with these words. But look at, so the stamps, if you didn't catch that, the stamps are built exactly like this to fit in the die. So the words, and I'll show you in a minute, but I love the intricacy of these dies because it makes us look extremely fancy. And if we want to get super fancy, I had cut this out of something else. We could put this for some, I think it's too much brown on me, but you get the idea. You can do some accent pieces. And this one also fits on here as well. Hope your season is filled with magic because it's rum chata, right? So that's why it's a really good die set to put those embellishments on there like that. But I also want you to dig in your stash. Here's another one that I did. And this was an old kit, I think from like 2 years ago, and it was a whole poinsettia about that big. I cut it in half and moved it so I could have poinsettia, because if I would have left it, you wouldn't be able to see very much of it because of this dye. But I cut it in half so I could see more of the poinsettia. And this is that beautiful gold paper that we have, right? Super cute. And then if you saw, I had found these tiny little hats on Amazon. So we're going to dress up our bottle here with our tiny little hat. And I was explaining to him at retreat that I said, you can decide how cold our little bottle of rum chata is by pulling, see, is really, we're going to pull the hat down and we put a scarf on. Seriously, this has got to be the best thing I've ever found on Amazon, because I can't imagine how long it takes to make these. And I just had to push by. So he's really cold, or we could say he's really happy. Show his face more, but I like it when he's super cold. So that goes in here. And then we also have these cute snowflakes. These are online exclusive as well. These were from last year, and I was so excited that they kept them over, because it's multiple colors of snowflakes, but they're also multiple sizes. So hopefully you can see that. We've got some fairly large ones and then small ones, but this makes it easy to decorate my marshmallows, because we have to have a little bit of fun here. Actually, I'm gonna do copper, and these already have the adhesive on them. So I'm just gonna do a little bit of a snowflake here. You could put it on top, but I thought they looked cute like that. And then we need some hot cocoa. All right, and we'll do copper on this one too, maybe. All right, just adds another little personal touch on there. And now the other trick I'm going to tell you about is, yes, you could put them in here. The one thing I found is they move around a little bit, just a little bit. So I grabbed, if you get paper pumpkin or any kind of kits from Stamp It Up, we get lots of these, and I save them, I put them in a drawer, but these came in really handy. I'm just gonna slide one off here. What I did is I take the test tube out and put this on the bottom. We don't want it to be totally sticky in there, but these, I find it helps hold them nice and straight, but you can still get them out without, see the difference, how that one's moving around there. Kind of holds it all together. The rum chata was fine in there. It didn't need any counterweight. And I just put that on the bottom. And you can even if you don't want to stick it to, you can always touch your finger to take some of the sticky off of it. So I'll make sure my snowflake is sticking out. All right, and you have a cute little box. I think they're adorable. And it's one of those gifts where somebody's like, where did you get that? So hopefully the directions are clear enough. If you have any questions, please let me know. One of the things I found at Walmart this weekend was, I thought this would be fun to mix in with my hot cocoa. These are new. There was 4 different kinds, but I thought this would be fun to either top off my hot cocoa, put a little bit on the top of the hot cocoa, or even through the marshmallows. But the candy cane, I thought, it's just finishing sugar, but this one literally tasted like candy canes. And they had salted caramel, and there was, I'm trying to think the other ones, gingerbread spice. And I can't remember, I got 2 more downstairs, but these to me sounded like really good hot cocoa ones. But I wanted to do this because I think that would be really cute to have the red and the white mixed in with the hot cocoa a little bit. But those are out here too, right? Walmart, I found it. But yes, that is how I do that. But decorating, I mean, there's so many things you can do. I found these. I think I got these at Crafters Direct. I thought would be super cute. You could put paint on them. Decorating to me is a fun part, and you could even get the kids involved, right? To be able to just doll them up for little gifts. Granted, they can't have that, but they can help with the decorating.